Place your bets, you jackwagons. Brad the Big Noise Evans here on another solo mission edition of the Fade 5 podcast. Nathaniel Lundy wrapping up his European vacation. Hope to have him back next week. And all the debauchery. There is going to be stories to tell, but you want bets, you demand bets, and I give you the bets. Let's go ahead and hop aboard the honk plus 1 odds or greater is the requirement. And one of my favorite bets on the board this weekend. Oh, JJ is going to be dynamite. I'm talking about Justin Jefferson. Give me him in the alt market. 100 more receiving yards at a plus 105. Little baby seduced by the juice there at DraftKings Sportsbook. Of course, going against Detroit in a game that has all kinds of meaning, don't you say? The winner gets the number 1 overall seed in the NFC. And I think he's going to show up and show out at what should be a shootout appeal kind of a game. They're inside a Ford Field, and a guy that's certainly going to rev his engine. You look at Justin Jefferson. Yeah, he fell short of the first matchup against Detroit. He went 781 and a touchdown in the game. Fantastic fantasy day, but didn't reach the requirement needed to cash here on this wager. But I think the second time around is going to be a different story. In 7 career games against the Lions, he's averaging 7.9 receptions at 131 yards per game, along with 4 touchdowns in total. He's averaging as well in the season 9 targets per game, number 10 in total yards, number 5 in yards per route run, number 7 in total yak, number 15 in total route wins. Oh, and you look at Detroit. They're showing that they're kind of Hello Kitty still. The Lions, number 32 in pass EPAD over the last 5 weeks. 8 wide receivers this season hit the century mark against them. He's going to get a lot of Terry and Arnold in coverage. Why is that a good thing? He is number 5. That's right. And most yards allowed among all DBs in the NFL, gave up 728 this season, along with a 62.9% catch rate and 103.6 passer rating. So put all together, the Minnesota Viking is gonna smash, baby. Give me Justin Jefferson, 100 or more receiving yards against the Lions with the prime time lights at a plus 105. Available there at DraftKings Sportsbook. With that bet on the board, let's get after it with another edition of the Fade 5. All right, numero cinco here on the countdown. The former Buckeye, hopefully, is not going to crack. I'm talking about Jackson Smith-Njigba. Has absolutely nothing to play for but pride and numbers, and a guy I think is going to go well over the 66.5 receiving yards against the LA Rams, who also have nothing to play for. They already locked their playoff position, and they're going to be trotting out nothing but backups, according to Sean McVay. Some of the starters on defense may play a few snaps, but even if he gets the starting secondary, it could be a good thing. By the way, this is minus 115 there at BetMGM. JSN back in week 9 only went for 180 yards against the Rammies, a guy that's averaging 8.3 targets per game. He is number 1 in total yak among all wide receivers, number 5 in total route wins. He has gone over this prop in 8 of his last 9 games. Look at the Rams, even with the starters on the field, have been just kind of vanilla defensively on the back end. Number 18 in pass EPAD over those last 5 weeks. On the year, 14 WRs have reached the 67 mark against them. And on top of that, probably going to see a lot of Quentin Lake, at least early. The starting slot corner for this team has given up a 64.6% catch rate and the 33rd most yards of any DB. That includes safeties and cornerbacks at 503 specifically on the season. So put all together, JSN Jackson Smith-Njigba. He's going to be downright naughty in this game. I'm taking the over. 66.5 receiving yards in the City of Angels at a minus 115 there at BetMGM. Numero cuatro here on the Fade 5 countdown. Let's make some more bank with Bijan Robinson, which I've done repeatedly. There was a guy, a troll on social media, kept trashing me all season long because I wrote a piece back in the middle of August saying, hey, Bijan Robinson is worth consideration as the number 1 overall pick in fantasy football leagues. Of course, Saquon Barkley was that dude, but Bijan was right there in the conversation, delivered on all the hype, and then some. Definitely profited if you took him the middle or the back end of round one in your half-point PPR fantasy drafts. And I think he's going to put a cherry on top of the Sunday here in this 2024-25 season. I think the over is going to cash at 95.5 rush yards against who? The real Hello Kitties of the NFL. That is the Carolina Panthers at a -115 there at BetMGM. Now, back in week 6, Bijan only had 15 carries in that game, and he went for 95 yards. I think that's why, curiously, it is set at 95.5. I think he's going to get at least 18 touches on the ground. He's probably going to rip off a long run or 3 in this one. He has gone over 95.5 rush yards 6 times this season. A modest number 27.5 per attempt on the year, but number 6 in total missed tackle force with 61, and numero uno in total yards created as tracked at playerprofiler.com. As I mentioned, Carolina, the dregs of the keg. They are dead last in rush EPA defense over the last 5 weeks, over the entirety of the season. Specifically, over the last 5 weeks, this is real, folks. They have given up 5.95 yards per carry, 174.8 rush yards per game just to the running back position. That is mind-blowing, to say the least. They get up at least a 100-yard rusher in 6 of their last 7 games. I think Bijan Robinson, with Atlanta having very minuscule, minute chances of making the postseason, he's going to be motivated to ball out, and I think he's going to boom in the box score. Give me that over 95.5 rush yards against Carolina at a -115 there at BetMGM. Numero tres on this Friday edition of the Fade 5 Countdown. Georgie Pickens, the Gumby. He's going to bend. He's going to stretch. And he's going to catch a long bomb from Russell Wilson in the Saturday matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals. Pittsburgh doesn't have a whole lot to play for. Little jockeying of positioning in the postseason, but their berth is already secured. Cincinnati has an 8% chance of making the NFL postseason. So they do have something to play for, but I think Pickens will ball out at least in the first half of this game. I just need one explosive pass play connection where the Russell Wilson to go for at least 26 yards. So the over 25.5 yards on the longest catch there against the division rival, and the Bengals entirely doable. He's done this 13 times this season. 9 of those 13 have come with Russell Wilson at the control. So you look at Pickens, the advanced analytics profile, number 4 in deep ball targets on the year with 27. Number 18 in ADOT has averaged at the target at 13.5. Number 16 in total air yards. Cincinnati has been very middling and bland defensively, especially in the back end all season. Number 16 in pass EPAD over the last 5 weeks, but they've given up the 6th most air yards in total of any defense this NFL season. And on top of that, they have allowed the 4th most 40-yard pass plays this year. And 2, Cameron Taylor-Britt is going to be the primary assignment in this game. Taylor-Britt this year has given up the 2nd most yards of any defensive back in the NFL at 751. So a little moonball magic, I think it's going to happen at least once in this game. Pickens and Wilson connect on a pass play over 25.5 yards. They're on that longest catch at a -115, available at BetMGM. Hey, you want more bets? I give you, and my crew gives you more bets at thegamingjuice.com. Go sign up. It's free, you jackals. I don't charge you a single penny. You can ask me questions on there regarding betting, maybe some fantasy football keeper questions. Looking ahead already to next season. Fire those away in the Ask Brad form. You can see the top of the page. All of those available links are right there, and all you have to do is sign up for a free account. All it needs is an email address, and we're off and running. And again, I don't charge you a single cent at all. All my college basketball content's going to live there throughout the entire season. And ILL, how about my Illini? Hanging 109 on the 9th-ranked Oregon Ducks, who enter the night number 24 at EFG defense. Hello, Rose Bowl hangover for Oregon. It's been a rough stretch the last 24, 48 hours for that school. But anyway, I get all of my bracketology thoughts down the road. I will unveil that sometime probably late January-ish is around that time. But I'm writing frequently, almost every other day, college basketball betting pieces as well. So familiarize with that sport. Ben Wintstein to Jacobson is going to be cranking out additional college football content as the playoffs continue to march on. We're in the semifinals. They're going to have some pieces there. Nate Lundy, his free spreadsheet NHL pixel there. Brandon Velasquez cranking out content as well in the NHL. So whether you're in a drop the puck and making some bucks, whether you like the hoopla or all of the gridiron action, go to thegamingjuice.com. Click, converse, and cash. ... Maybe. All right, moving on here on the Friday edition of the Fave 5 podcast. You like guys when incentives? Well, you better go and invest in my cousin Mike Evans, who's got a lot of money on the line. $3 million to be exact if he hits 5 receptions and 85 or more yards. Oh, and by the way, if he catches 2 touchdowns, it's an additional 666. Ooh, so devilish. In terms of, and that's $666,000, not like $6.66 on the contract. So he's got a couple of thresholds at play, and 2. You look at Tampa Bay, they win, they're in. They lose, they're out. So all kinds of stuff at stake for Mike Evans, and that's why I'm going to wager on this. Yes, GP built this one at Caesars. Like number 1, give me Mike Evans 80 or more receiving yards. Again, he needs 85 on 5 or more receptions to get that $3 million kick in on the contract. Give me him for an 8-time touchdown. Again, he gets 2. It's $666,000 added on top. And then Tampa Bay on the money line, they got to win. So this is all motivation, hopefully, for the money. Plus 111. I can't believe I got that significant plus juice there at Caesars Sportsbook. You look at Mike Evans back in week 6 against the Fleur-de-Lis, only 2 catches for 34 yards in that game, but he went against Paulson Adebo. He's on IR. He's out for the year. Likely going to get a lot of Kool-Aid McKinstry in this one, who's given up a 95 flat pass rate. Not good, but not great either. If you look at Paulson Adebo, a guy that was ultra-friendly in coverage, but McKinstry is a guy he could certainly toast. Evans averaging 7.4 targets per game, number 11 in yards per route run, number 15 and passer rating when targeted at 115.1, and he has done this not once but twice on both the thresholds in 3 of his last 5 games. It's getting at least 80 yards and scoring a touchdown. And look at New Orleans, they've been rubbish defensively. Number 21 over the last 5 weeks in EPA pass D. 6 wide receivers in the same game have got at least 80 yards and a touchdown against them this season. So put it all together. My cousin, Mike Evans on the SGP. 80 or more receiving yards. Mike Evans touchdown. And the Buccaneers to win straight up against the Saints. Plus 111 at Caesars. Hits these. And the off-season family reunion is gonna be lit. All right, moving on to numero uno here in the Week 18 edition of the Fave 5 Countdown. Bo-lieve and Bo Nix giving the over on 1.5 passing touchdowns against Kansas City. Probably going to be trying out a lot of backups. Maybe the starters on defense are going to see a quarter, maybe a maximum of 2 quarters, and then they're going to have the stage left after halftime. The Broncos have to win to get into the NFL playoffs, and they're at home. So it's going to be rowdy. It's going to be raucous there in Power Field. So knowing that he's going against number 2s and 3s, knowing he's got the home crowd at full throat behind him, and knowing, too, that Bo Nix has been balling out. Give me that over. 1.5 passing touchdowns and a minus 110 at BetMGM. Knicks back in week 10 against the starters the entire game in Kansas City. It was an ugly affair. The Broncos lost that one 16-14, but he went for 215 and 2 passing touchdowns in that game. He has thrown for 2 airstrikes and 6 of his last 7. He's number 10 among all quarterbacks in red zone completion percentage on the season. Sure, Kansas City's number 3 in pass EPAD over the last 5 weeks. And 7 quarterbacks have gone over this on the season against them. But again, how long are the starters really going to play? I think at most it's not going to be anything beyond the first half. So Bo Nix, make us some bank, baby, on that over 1.5 passing touchdowns. My top play of week 18 at a minus 110 at BetMGM. But wait, there's more bonus time. And let's start off with a Team Huevos parlay play of Week 18. I'm going to go back to the Buccaneers and Baker, the touchdown maker. Give me him on the over, 1.5 passing touchdowns, and give me Sam Darnold on the over. Same prop, 1.5 passing touchdowns. Just slap those two together. Plus 135. Handsome Jews available there at BetMGM. And look at Baker Mayfield, again, taking on the Saints, number 15 in pass EPAD over the last 5 weeks. 6 quarterbacks against New Orleans have gone over 1.5 passing touchdowns, including Mayfield. Back in week 6, he erupted for 325 yards and 4 scores through the air. Mayfield, number 5 in red zone attempts on the season, number 1 in red zone completion percentage. He is thrown for at least a pair of touchdowns, and 4 straight games make it 5. Meanwhile, Sam Darnold on the over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Again, I already mentioned the Lions are dead last in pass EPA defense over the last 5 weeks. 4 of the last 5 quarterbacks they have faced have thrown at least a pair of passing touchdowns. And Darnold, yeah, he fell short of this in the first matchup. He went 259 and a touchdown in week 7, but he has crossed the over in 6 of his last 7 on this prop. He's number 2 behind Mayfield in red zone completion percentage on the year, and number 4 in total red zone attempts. That game's got like first to 50 vibes written all over it, by the way. That's how much of a fun shootout it should be at Ford Field. So the team Huevos parlay play this week. It's not an SGP. Technically, it's a 2-legger. Baker Mayfield over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Sam Darnold over 1.5 passing touchdowns plus 135. Available there at BetMGM. All right, let's get some more bonus time. Couple of over bets in the NFL. I think the Bengals are winning on Saturday, so I'm going to work another SGP, and I got to get some Joe Burrow action. So if you take Cincinnati on the money line in the same gamer and match it with Joe Burrow 2 or more passing touchdowns, it's plus 122 at DraftKings. So that's a great way to play that. Burrow, by the way, has thrown for at least 2 airstrikes in his last 8 games. Hell, he's gone for 3 touchdowns in each of those 8 games or more, as a matter of fact. In week 13, 309 and 3, as a matter of fact, he had against the Steelers. Steelers are number 23 in pass EPA defense. They have given up 5 straight multi-TD passers, along with 7.80 in terms of the yards per attempt over that 5-game stretch. So SGP, Joe Burrow, 2 more passing touchdowns, match with the Bengals on the money line. Again, plus 122 there at DraftKings Sportsbook. Elsewhere, I got one more for you. I'll toss out in the NFL. It's a slow drip for a lot of these player props. I'll give you 2 more real quick. With no reasoning, I like Jerry Jeudy, 60 or more yards. And here's the only reason why. The Browns are nearly 20-point dogs in this game. Bailey Zappi is an upgrade over Dorian Thompson-Robinson. So I think Jerry Jeudy is going to be targeted early and often. This could be a 10 to 15 target kind of game for him, playing nothing but catch up against the Ravens, who are entirely motivated to secure the AFC North. So I think Jeudy, 60 or more yards at plus 100, a very sound wager in my mind. And last one, Bear down, Chicago Bears. Bears suck. But go hire Ben Johnson. Give him the keys to the city if necessary. But DeAndre Swift over 11.5 receiving yards against the arch rival Green Bay Packers. Packers may rest some guys in this game. We'll see. If I'm Matt LaFleur, I'm playing my starters because I don't want to go to Philadelphia in the first round of the playoffs. But that's totally up to him. But I think Swift over 11.5 receiving yards. I feel confident this is going to hit. A couple of dump off passes from Caleb Williams. He went over in the first matchup. He's been over this prop a handful of times here down the stretch. And the Bears are probably going to be playing catch up from the jump. So DeAndre Swift, get a couple of grabs, and I think he hits the over 11.5 receiving yards at a minus 115 there at BetMGM. A couple more, and let's go to the world of college basketball on a Friday night. And I'm going to have my full slate of college basketball plays tomorrow. Go to thegameandjuice.com. Check out the spreadsheet. Always free, always transparent. There's a tab at the bottom. The tab that you see, the picks that you see first, are always the NFL when they're in season. But there's a tab, you just click it with all the college basketball ones at the bottom, and bam, there it is. How about a hell of a start, though? Taking a step back here the last about 48 hours. That is the ebb and flow, the roller coaster ride of betting, really on anything, whether college basketball, NFL, or whatever. But tonight, I like the Ohio State taking on Michigan State at home in Columbus. I'll lay the 1.5. Ohio State advanced analytic darling. They are top 16 EFG offense, EFG defense on the season. And with Aaron Bradshaw at 7'1" under the rim, he is the supreme rim protector. That is the strength of Michigan State. The Spartans cannot shoot to save their lives from outside. They're only shooting 28.8% from distance on the season. Outstanding rebounding team, outstanding interior team. But if Bradshaw could stay out of foul trouble, I think he could really thwart some of those efforts on the inside. Meanwhile, Ohio State can really burn the nets from outside. They're shooting over 39% as a group, and Thornton is a baller at point guard. So they're at home. They're playing better basketball here of late. Again, they had that huge win recently inside of MSG against Kentucky, which they absolutely pummeled them. So give me the Ohio State. I'll lay the 1.5 against Michigan State on Friday night. And I like Georgetown. I feel icky saying that, but I'll lay the 1.5, and I got it at a plus 100. They're at BetMGM. They're taking on the X-Men. That is Xavier. Georgetown much improved this season. 85 EFG offense and number 20 nationally in EFG defense. They're only giving up 41.8% inside the arc, 32.6% outside of it. A team that really pressures you, forces a lot of miscues and mistakes. Xavier has been decent offensively, 46 in EFG offense, but just number 94 in EFG defense. Their biggest issue is 3-point percentage D, where they're number 231 in the nation in that category. So Georgetown knocks down some of those outside jumpers, D's up, forces those turnovers as they normally do. I think they're going to hold home court. I will lay the 1.5 in that matchup. All right. Woo! I am out of breath and out of time here on the Feed 5 podcast. Do me a favor, would you kindly drop us a rating and a review at your convenience. Also, feed or follow us on the X or the Twitter. Follow Lundy at Nate Lundy or myself at Noisy Huevos. Go to thegamingjuice.com and Jack Wagons and sign up for a free account today. And check out my radio show, BetMGM tonight. Ryan Horvath back in the saddle with me on a freaky Fast Friday. We're going game by game in the NFL Week 18 slate and locking and loading our favorite bets. And we're going to preview college basketball on a Saturday. A lot to discuss there. A really awesome show. It flies by over 3 hours. And I hope you tune in across Odyssey stations across the country, or you can stream the show for free on thegamingjuice.com. So all kinds of ways to consume my various pieces of content. Happy New Year, a belated one to you and yours. And until next time, as always, feed or follow. That is up to you. ILL.